March begins in a way that feels unmistakably fated. We're not easing into this month. We're stepping straight into a total lunar eclipse. That's right. On March 3rd, we have a blood moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo opposing a whole stellium of planets in Pisces, including Mars, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And Mercury just happens to still be retrograde. So right away, we're in a moment of culmination, revelation, and course correction. A turning point where something becomes undeniably clear. But what makes this eclipse especially important is that it's not happening in isolation. Nearly the entire month of March is dedicated to activating the same eclipse degree and the same eclipse storyline. Messages resurface, conversations intensify, decisions that felt uncertain finally demand clarity. And yet, despite the intensity, there is a sense of divine purpose flowing through the eclipse chart, and a supportive trine from Jupiter to the eclipse moon suggests that whatever is unfolding is for our highest good. There is an opportunity that awaits us at the end of this eclipse. This full moon eclipse in Virgo is pointing us toward growth, resolution, and the next chapter that we are destined to move into, but only if we release and move on from something that's no longer serving us first. So March isn't just the next part of our story, it's a meaningful turning point where we'll be not only guided by fate, but surrounded by all sorts of opportunities, both new and old, coming back around from the past. It's a month of integration, redirection, and a lot of restructuring, culminating in one of the most important outer planet transits of the year, Saturn sextile Pluto. In this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know to navigate the astrology of March, especially the blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, and all of the activations that are going to be sprinkled throughout the entire month. This whole month is eclipsy, and I'm going to help you navigate it, including a forecast for all 12 signs. But before we dive into it, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. If you're not, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update. I post a new video, tutorial, forecast, etc. every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and so you don't want to miss that. Also, make sure you comment below and let me know how your eclipse season is going so far, because we are already deep into it. And if you haven't already done so, download your free Astrology 101 quick reference guide at the link down in the description below. This is your free resource for understanding everything you need to know about the planets, signs, houses, aspects, and to decode your own natal chart and figure out all of your placements, which is going to help you get a lot more out of these free forecasts that I do for you all of the time here on YouTube. Also, if you really want to be prepared for not just this eclipse season, but all eclipse cycles, past, present, and future, make sure you check out my Karmic Power of Eclipses workshop, which is currently on sale for 50% off until 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on March 5th. This is your resource for understanding how every single eclipse impacts you, the scale and grade of each eclipse, and how intense it actually is, because every eclipse hits different, and every eclipse has a certain level of force, and it has a different level of force within your personal birth chart and within your personal astrology. And so you want to understand that. You're also going to learn about your pre and postnatal eclipses, the north and south nodes, and what it means to be born near an eclipse, because that's going to be relevant not just to potentially you, because it happens once every 6 months, but to your friends, family, some of your clients if you're astrologers. And so this is a great resource that's very holistic. It covers all things eclipses. Again, 50% off for the eclipse season. This is going to help you not just for this one, but for all future eclipses. All right, so let's dive into the general overview of this eclipse and the other major activations and astrology aspects that are happening in the month of March. This total blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is happening on March 3rd. And this is a south node eclipse, which means that the moon is in a very close conjunction with the karmic south node. The south node is all about moving on, letting go, wrapping up and unraveling. It's about closing karmic cycles from the past that have been repeating over and over and over again. And we've kind of gotten the lesson at this point. We need to move on. It's also about bringing in gifts from our past experiences, not just in this lifetime, but in all previous experiences, all previous lifetimes, into the current moment in order to propel us forward into something new. We're using our gifts from the past as a framework or a foundation for moving into something that is more aligned with our soul's destiny. And when we have a total lunar eclipse, this is a full moon energy. It means that the luminaries are both hitting the north and south nodes. This is especially powerful because both nodes are being activated. This is about not just letting go, although that's part of what's being highlighted because it is the full moon. It's about merging that energy of past and present. It's about letting go so you can move forward. And especially this month, because we have so many activations coming up right after the eclipse, to that eclipse point, to the North Node in the sign of Pisces, this is going to be about a big culmination, a big release, a big revelation that shows us what we need to know in order to move forward. Now, this is not happening in isolation. This is happening with a beautiful trine to Jupiter, which is retrograde in its exaltation in the sign of Cancer. We've been talking about this for months now. This is a beautiful energy, and this is a supportive energy. Something from our past or a past opportunity can come back around the time of this eclipse, really 10 days before and after, but also during all these activations throughout the month of March and even into April and May. There can be this old opportunity that comes back around. It's seated, or it's first energized, or it first comes up for you around the time of the blood moon lunar eclipse. And so it's kind of like something is revealed, and something from our past that we've either already set in motion or that we put into place. We created our own luck around, or an opportunity that we thought we missed, or something that there was energy around it before but it never took hold. That is going to come back around as a new opportunity, as a fresh opportunity, once we are fully kind of removed from all of that karmic baggage that we need to let go of, which I think is going to flow pretty easily. It's kind of like, I don't need this anymore because look at these opportunities. I missed this last time around. I'm not going to miss it this time around because I'm bogging myself down with what's comfortable, with what's familiar, with what I've already done time and time and time again, and it doesn't work. I know it doesn't work because I've been there, done that. It's not working for me anymore. So I think it'll be pretty easy to flow away from all of those things that we need to break ties with around the time of this eclipse. It's also going to be a big culmination point. There's like this karmic energy that we keep coming back to that's finally reaching this point of culmination where it's not just a letting go of something, it's a bringing something back into the mix that is deeply and truly resonant with us. Like, it feels comfortable, it feels familiar, it feels like it's part of who we are because we've dealt with it throughout multiple timelines. We've dealt with it throughout our lifetime here in this incarnation. And so this is going to be a big part of the story as well. We could also have a lot of people from our past coming back around and helping us in our goals to move forward, in our goals to align ourselves with a new destiny. And so I love this energy for people from our past coming back around, not just because of the South Node energy, not just because of the Jupiter retrograde, but because, of course, Mercury is in retrograde. So we might get a very important message from somebody from our past, or a message that we missed the boat on might come back around. And so that's going to be a big part of the eclipse activations that we'll talk about in just a second here after the actual eclipse. But even with the eclipse itself, we have Mercury in a very close conjunction with the Sun, a wider conjunction with the North Node. We're going to have Mercury and Mars coming into a conjunction with the North Node just shortly after the eclipse. And there's going to be so much energy around communication, conversation, having to make quick decisions. But these are decisions that we've already kind of made once, and maybe we have to redecide. Maybe we have to think it over again. Maybe we need to bring it back into the mix. Like, we said no, and now we need to say yes. Maybe this is somebody in our life that we said no to, and now we have to say yes. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for each of the signs, which we will, of course, be getting into in just a moment here. Now, in terms of potency of the eclipse, this is something that we cover very in depth in the Karmic Power of Eclipses, which once again is 50% off until midnight on March 5th. But I just want to bring this into the mix here because there's differences in opinion on the scale of intensity. There are some astrologers who think that blood moon lunar eclipses are not that powerful. To me, they are probably second or third in command. Total solar eclipses, of course, are the most potent energy because we have a pile up of energy all in one place. And annular solar eclipses are almost as potent as the total solar eclipses. However, blood moon lunar eclipses are right up there. I would say they're either second or third in ranking. And Whether or not they're second or third depends on the eclipse visibility. And so the eclipse this time around is going to be visible on the western coast of the United States, along with Alaska and the western coast of Canada. It's also going to be very visible in Russia, which also speaks to what the eclipse is going to hold for us on a global, more collective level. Now, this is a really positive eclipse. This could be renegotiations. This could actually be some sort of positive breakthrough in relations between the US and Russia. I'm not going to get into the mundane astrology part of this. You know, it could go the other way too, but this eclipse itself seems more overtly positive. So I do like putting kind of hope behind this energy. But in terms of visibility, this is where it's going to hit the hardest. And so if you are in the path of the eclipse visibility, you are going to have a more potent eclipse experience, regardless of whether or not it's hitting you directly in the birth chart. Now, if it's also hitting you really directly in the birth chart, which we'll talk about in the all signs forecast, then you are going to get the maximum potency and you're going to have the biggest, most life-changing moment. Pay attention, all of you, to signs, synchronicities, messages, things that feel fated and aligned, things that feel extra important for a strange, unexplained reason that you can't quite pin down. This is a time where your dreams can show you something. This is a time where people are going to show up when you need them to pull you in the right direction. And those people, even if they're new in your life, are going to feel familiar or extra important, or you're going to feel really pulled to them in some way. And so this is where things get kind of strange and eerie. And also time during the eclipses tends to feel very strange. It either feels very accelerated or very slowed down, or kind of a combination of both. Like, time doesn't make sense because it's almost as if we're shifting timelines during the eclipse cycles. And so all of these things are things to pay attention to, because these sensations, these messages, these experiences are helping to point you in the right direction. And even if they don't turn into something this time around, it's very likely that the next eclipse cycle in 6 months, which happens in August, will bring something about related to the themes and topics that are coming up this time around during this eclipse season. Now, as for the eclipse activations, Mars is going to come into an exact conjunction with the North Node on March 13th of 2026. Shortly after that, on March 15th, retrograde Mercury is going to conjunct Mars. And then just 2 days later, on March 17th, retrograde Mercury will also come into an exact conjunction with the karmic North Node. So what does this all mean? Fated messages that we can't quite decipher could come very abruptly to help change things, to help move us in a new path, a new direction that's more aligned with our destiny. This is not the beginning of a new story, because this is something we've been experiencing and dealing with. And so it's likely that what is going to be happening is something that is coming back around from the past that will propel us forward into the future, a message, an idea, something that we had to revisit or redo because of that Mercury retrograde. This is a big energy around arguments and disputes that stem from miscommunication and a lack of understanding of somebody or something. There's a lot of energy around maybe deception. That could definitely be a part of it with Mercury and Pisces, but it's typically not going to be intentional deception. It's going to be like you deceived yourself, or you didn't understand something and you feel deceived. This is where you're going to come back around and get a better understanding of something that you need to get a good grasp on as a result of this energy, but it could come in a harsh way. Like, harsh words could be exchanged, there could be a separation, there could be an argument, a dispute, a disagreement, or there could be a message that comes in very quickly and you have to very quickly make a decision on something and you don't feel ready, and your brain is not quite online because Mercury is not just in retrograde, but it's in its fall and detriment in Pisces. But that's going to be a big part of the path, because the decision that you make, the conversation that you have, the situation that unfolds is part of your path, your destiny, your purpose, and what you need to move into for your soul's evolution. Even if you don't see it that way in the moment, even if it doesn't make sense immediately at the onset. After this, we're going to have Mercury stationing direct in an exact conjunction with the North Node in the sign of Pisces, and this is happening on March 20th. This is a big revelatory moment. This is a big fated moment. Something that has come up at the time of the blood moon lunar eclipse, or the eclipse that we had back in February in the sign of Aquarius, is going to be amplified. it's going to really be at the forefront of our mind and our consciousness. It's kind of like we had to go back and revisit something. We had to think it over more introspectively in order to have this breakthrough moment where we see things clearly and we're finally able to make a decision. We're finally able to have that conversation. We're finally able to do the thing that we need to do. What's also interesting about this is that the dispositor of this full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is Mercury, and Mercury is going to be a big player in the eclipse story. And so this is going to help show us the outcomes of the eclipse, and the outcome is going to be us getting redirected and reoriented in order to move forward. So that's a big theme here. Now, in between all of this, we also have a new moon that is not an eclipse in the sign of Pisces. It's happening around 28 degrees. It's not going to feel like a normal new moon though, because it is still in that eclipse zone, and it's kind of an eclipsey moon. So because of all these activations occurring, even though it's technically not an eclipse, it's going to feel like we have a third eclipse. It's going to feel like this new moon in Pisces is launching us forward into something that's very fated, very karmic, very destined, but it's still a part of that same eclipse story that is embedded into the March 3rd lunar eclipse. Finally, I should mention just two more things. So we have a Sun conjunction to Neptune and Saturn happening just after the equinox. And so this is going to be a very interesting equinox energy because we just had that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and this is going to be bringing up some stuff. So if you had a weird experience with that Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, this is going to highlight that. A lot of the things kind of on a more global scale that came up during the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, that's going to be coming up too. So we're going to see that coming back around or being highlighted in some way around the time of the vernal equinox. Finally, we have Saturn's sextile to Pluto. Saturn is at the early degrees of Aries, Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius, and Saturn is all about structure, but in the sign of Aries, it's not very good at creating structure, and Pluto's all about breaking down everything and anything, right? It's about breaking things down. It's about decomposing, composting. It's about taking something, breaking it down to its core essence, and then rebuilding it from there into something new. And I talk about it being related to composting because it's kind of like taking something that's old or decrepit or decayed, and it breaks it down to its core essence, those nutrients, those minerals, that soil, and then something really beautiful and new can be birthed out of it because there's so much richness to that foundation, to that soil. This is what Pluto is helping to do with Saturn. There's an old structure in our lives that is being disintegrated, taken apart, broken down, and Pluto is helping it be rebirthed brand new. And so of course, we're going to see this playing out in the collective as well. All right, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. So for this all signs forecast, I'm going to be focusing predominantly on the energy of the blood moon lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd, along with the eclipse activations. The reason for this is that the Saturn-Neptune conjunction has been done to death. I have many different videos covering that topic, including an all signs forecast, and I'm going to be doing a separate longer term all signs forecast for the Saturn sextile to Pluto later on this month. And so because this energy of the eclipse is the big energy that's going to be activated time and time again all throughout the entire month of March, that's going to be the central focus because it's not just impacting you at the beginning of the month on March 3rd, it's really coming back up over and over and over again. Now that said, before we get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for the next month ahead. Your rising sign is the most predominant energy, your sun sign will be secondary, and your moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this energy will be more internalized and subjective. And again, make sure you download your free Astrology 101 quick reference guide at the link down in the description below if you want to have a more nuanced interpretation for your month ahead. All right, so let's get into it. For Aries and for Aries rising. For Aries and Aries rising, this blood moon lunar eclipse on March 3rd is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health, work, daily routines. It's also the house of service. It's the house of showing up in service for people, especially as a caregiver or in a caregiver role. And it's also the house associated with pets. And so this energy could bring in a fated karmic occurrence that could bring a change in your work or your work-related routines, especially if you're somebody who works for somebody else. If you are somebody who employs other people, there could be a big disruption or a need to let someone go, or someone could be leaving the job and quitting, moving on, and that could actually be a really positive thing because it makes space for something even better, something even more aligned. It's kind of a fated transition or change, not just for you, but for that person. There could also be something really big and life-changing that comes up in terms of a service role, or if you are taking on a caregiver role for somebody, or maybe you're going to have to take on a caregiver role from somebody because this is on the axis of the 12th and 6th house. It could be health stuff coming up for someone. You know, the 12th house rules hospitals and rehabilitation centers, things like that. And so there could be something like that coming up, but if it is the case, it's not like the worst case scenario. It's kind of like you're there for support, and it's very lucky. It's a very big blessing that you're able to do that for someone, or it could be that somebody is able to do that for you. If you are somebody who's been dealing with health issues, this is about illuminating that and getting to the cause so you can move on, because part of it is a repeating pattern, a repeating cycle, not just physically in your health routines and the way you take care of yourself, but potentially there's something karmic going on that you're finally able to move past. This could also be an energy here involving a big change or shift involving animals or pets. A new pet could come into your life, or, you know, an old pet could come back around even. I've seen stories of that before. Or there could just be a big development involving your animals that could be very positive, but especially because we have Jupiter in Cancer in your 4th house, it's kind of like your home or your household is changing in a positive way as a result of potentially animals or a situation with animals or a new pet coming into your life. That could be a big one. And then later on this month, you're going to have a lot of activations that are going to be bringing you back into your 12th house, which is the house of rest, solitude, and reprieve. It's kind of like you're out there having to do a lot around the time of this eclipse, and then later on, you're going to be getting these fated karmic messages that will come up that will pull you back into solitude, seclusion, reprieve. It will pull you back into spiritual practice. In fact, your spiritual practice is going to give you the clearest messages about how to proceed forward. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, this full moon, blood moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in your 5th house, which is the house of children. It's the house of fun. It's the house of romance. It's the house of hobbies, interests, passion pursuits, and creativity. This is an energy where something very fated, something very big could come up around your connection with your children. This could be a pregnancy. This could be an unexpected pregnancy with the eclipses coming on. This could be a new development in your children's lives that is very fated, very karmic, and it's very welcome. It's something that's coming back around, potentially an opportunity for your children, especially involving school or education because of that 3rd house. If you don't have children, this could be an opportunity coming back around for education or certification or connecting with community around something that you are passionate about, something that is fun for you, something that brings you joy, a hobby, an interest, something that you love to do. This is also just really great for connection. So there could definitely be some fated new connections coming in around your friendships and your group associations that come as a result of you diving into or bringing back around an old hobby or passion pursuit that sort of connects you with other people through a course or through a community. And then these new connections, these new friendships come in as a result of that, and they feel fated and they pull you in a really good, solid direction. Again, it could also be old connections with friends from the past that come back around because it's like, I used to engage in this activity. I used to love painting. I used to love dancing. I used to love, it's a Virgo hobby, so maybe not painting or dancing, maybe something more practical. Like I used to love knitting or sewing or, herbalism or something like that. And I did it because I loved it, because it was a hobby. And now my herbalist friends are coming back around, right? Like something along those lines for Taurus. For Gemini and Gemini rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, and real estate. Big developments for you. There could be the sale of a property that could bring in some good cash flow, some money into your bank account with that Jupiter exalted in your 2nd house. There could be a family situation or a living situation that ends up being very profitable. There could be, an investment property or something along those lines that could be very profitable. Or it could just be that you're wanting to move, or you need to move for a job or for a career opportunity, or just because it feels really intensely that you need to let go of your current living situation and move on to something new, and that new opportunities will arise as a result of that, and they absolutely will. Whatever is the case, there is a big energy around shifting things in the home. There could be fated circumstances that come up involving family that could be very positive. There's definitely good energy around money and property. So if there's something that you're wanting to do, like renovate or move or purchase a property or whatever it is, there's definitely good energy there. There's also a lot of good energy around money and career. So whatever it is that you're doing in your home, it could literally be that you're just like feng shuiing your home, shifting the energy, and it feels very important, very fated. And that opens things up for you career-wise and brings a lot of benefits, especially later in the month as we have these activations with Mercury and Mars. There could be a big message that comes through that causes you to have to make a quick decision about something that maybe you thought had already passed by and now it's coming back around. And that could be a big thing for Gemini. For Cancer and for Cancer rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in your 3rd house, which is the house of community, connections, siblings, short distance travel, vehicles. It's the house of education. It's the house of sharing your knowledge and communicating and talking and connecting with other people. There's definitely a big communication coming in for you, Cancer. So there's like a really important message that is going to benefit you personally. There's an opportunity that you might have missed or said no to in the past, or maybe you just didn't view it as an opportunity, so you didn't take hold of it, but it's coming back around for you, and you are going to be able to say yes this time. In fact, you have to. There's something you need to let go of in terms of an old mindset or an old way of thinking or believing in order to take advantage of this new opportunity, because it requires a broader, bigger perspective than what you currently hold. There could also be opportunities for travel or a new vehicle, but especially like long distance travel or going back to school, broadening your horizons through new wisdom at the time of the eclipse activations, middle to end of March. I would say overall, this is very beneficial for you across the board. I think you could have really great connections with community. Somebody in your community from your past could come back around. Information from your past could come back around and be really handy. Education from your past could come back around and be really handy. But I really feel like there's an opportunity here to explore, travel, learn something new that you missed out on before, and now you're going to take advantage. For Leo and for Leo rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in your 2nd house, which is the house of money. Lucky you, Leo. Because Jupiter is bringing blessings here. There's a hidden influence that's supporting you or helping you behind the scenes, behind closed doors, or maybe even behind this realm, right? In another dimension, because that is a very 12th house thing. You are being supported in a hidden way. Definitely new financial opportunities can come up for you this month, Leo, especially around the start of the month, but then they'll really take hold later on in the month. There is something you need to address here, though. There's a conflict. There's something that comes up really quickly that you have to make a decision on, or that you have to say, or that you have to maybe separate yourself from in order to make use of this good financial potential and opportunity. So it's kind of like there's an opportunity from your past that's coming in, or there's an investment from your past that's paying off in some way. And in order to make that happen, there's a contract that needs to be broken. There's something that needs to be said. There's communication that needs to happen with your partner. There's definitely a lot of energy here around debt and other people's money. You could get a loan, but this would also be really good for you revisiting your financial situation and maybe clearing up anything that's holding you back from reaching your financial goals, which could be literally holding you back from debt. There could be a letter or something from the IRS, but it could actually bring a return, or it could be that you did your taxes taxes wrong and you get even more money, or you don't owe as much. That could be a big thing for Leo people as well, especially coming into the United States, at least tax season. I would also say for Leo, your partner's resources might be up for change, and that could actually be what's funneling money in. So if you are somebody who's married or in a significant long-term partnership, your partner's resources could change on a dime. You have to make a quick decision about it, but the end result is ultimately beneficial for you both. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse is happening in your sign, Virgo. Your whole life has been changing. It's going to continue to change. This could be one that really turns things upside down for you. Big energy, big changes coming in, not just for you personally and your own personal trajectory. This could be having to let go of something in order to improve your health in some way. This could be letting go of personal patterns, personal habits, big life themes and situations that keep coming back around over and over and over again. You finally got the message. You don't need to do this anymore. The karma has been cleared and it is time to move on. This could also be about you taking advantage of an opportunity involving a friendship or an old friendship or an old benefactor coming back around to bring a new opportunity for you personally. This is a great time for reconnecting with friends and reconnecting with people that you've been close with in the past. But that's actually going to lead you to new connections as well. This is a beautiful time to launch into something new in partnership. There's going to be maybe an argument, dispute, disagreement with your partner if you are in partnership, or with a close friend, a close family member, somebody who, again, you're really linked to, or some sort of potential argument, dispute, disagreement over a contract of some kind. But revisiting that because of the dispute is actually going to break things open so you can move forward in a direction in that relationship or in that agreement that is more aligned with your destiny. Really great energy at the start of this month and really through the entire month for connection, for relationship, maybe even a new relationship forming. If you're not partnered, this would be a time where you need to let go of something within yourself. You need to let go of focusing too much on you, your needs, your wants, your desires, and focusing more on your partner and what your partner needs or what you want, need, and desire in partnership, because you are moving in that direction now. For Libra and for Libra rising, the full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is happening in your 12th house, which is the hidden house. There's something going on here behind the scenes, behind closed doors, in secret. There could be big energy around dreams, prophetic dreams even, messages, downloads, synchronicities that come when you're in a state of silence, quiet, stillness, solitude, that could lead you to have really incredible developments, really incredible opportunities that you can take advantage of in your career. This can also unlock a lot of healing potential when it comes to your literal physical health. But there's a lot of great energy here around making some big career moves and moving into doing work, especially on a day-to-day level, that's more aligned with your destiny, that really expands on your reputation and your career goals. Even if you're not somebody who's working, this could be you doing something to show up in service of other people that lends to your legacy that you leave behind when you're no longer here on planet Earth. So I love this energy for that. There could be something that comes up in this 6-12th axis around hospitals or around 12th house institutions, which could be retreat centers. This would be a great time to go on some sort of retreat. There could be the need to show up in service. So it's kind of like you're showing up in service for somebody who, because of their health, or there could be a health issue that you need to resolve that is really, it's kind of like you spend time contemplating it, the messages, the synchronicities come through, and then mid-month to the end of the month, when we have all of these eclipse activations with Mercury and Mars, a message comes through really suddenly. It causes you some sort of stress or strain. You have to change something, you have to think about something really quickly, but once you actually do, you realign yourself and healing comes. This could come from a benefactor too, where like somebody who is very knowledgeable and authority comes in and is able to guide you in the right direction. If you're somebody who owns a business, this is excellent energy for all things involving your business this month, but you have to take that time out at the start of the month to allow the universe to guide you, because it's going to come from the inside, not from the outside. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this blood moon, full moon, Total lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, group associations, social networks, and people you surround yourself with by choice. This is also the house of benefactors. This is also the house of income from your business or from your wages or your job or something like that. So cash flow usually shows up in this area. And so this could be a big shift or a big change in something along those lines. So there could be a change in cash flow, or an old benefactor or an old person in your life comes back around, and that network, that connection helps to bring you into a new direction. This is about letting go, also about what other people think about what you're doing, because this is the South Node in the sign of Virgo, and this is really helping you to release something so you can move into that 5th house, which is the house of your passions. It's the house of your play. It's the house of the things that you are so deeply connected with because they light you up. This could also be an energy of needing to let go of what your friends think about the way you're raising your children, or a big choice that you're making involving your children. There's definitely something, a big message or something important coming up middle to end of this month involving 5th house topics and themes, which could be creativity, it could be children. But there's also an energy here where I almost feel like you have to let go of something, let go of caring about what other people think about what you're doing, so you can move into doing something that you love. And then there's this Jupiter energy in your 9th house. So it's like an educational opportunity or an opportunity to share what you love through teaching other people could come around. Or it could be that you're just really passionate about travel. You get to have a really fun travel experience that comes up in a way that's really fated. In either case, I think this is just all really beautiful for Scorpio. It's aligning in your chart in such a wonderful way, especially if your sun, moon, or rising is anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 15 degrees, you're going to be feeling this especially in a positive way. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, big developments coming your way in the area of career and public reputation for this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd. This is a time where you need to let go of any old preconceived notions about what it is that you truly need to be moving into when it comes to your career. There could be old patterns, old habits, old energy that's stuck in the past that you need to unravel, that you need to let go of in order to really move into what you're destined to do. There could be a new career opportunity that comes to you that feels familiar, that feels fated, that takes advantage of talents that you've acquired through your past experience, not just in this lifetime, but in prior lifetimes. And there could be a good financial payoff as a result of this. There's definitely an energy here where there's something being highlighted in your career path where maybe you need to let go of a certain idea of how things should be in order to make space for how things need to be when it comes to your home life, when it comes to your living situation, when it comes to your family dynamic, because there's definitely lots of energy coming up around that later this month. There could be something opening up for you, especially during the time of those eclipse activations, where it's kind of like something is culminating in your career. You finally get to move past it and let go of it, and that's a blessing, and maybe money comes in. It could even be something like the sale of a business. It could be something like leaving a job because you have financial backing in some way through your partner so you can move on to something else. It could be that you just have to let go of the way things were, or you have to maybe shift your career path or shift your job in some way in order to move to the right location. So it's like, yeah, this is an ending of some kind, or a shifting, or something is changing involving your career, but it feels comfortable, it feels okay, and it feels like you are supported. There's definitely a big message coming up later on this month involving your home, your place of living, real estate, property, or your family dynamic. There could be money coming in from like death benefits or inheritance of some kind, or even an insurance payout. I would say homeowners insurance. There could be some sort of payout that you're owed that comes back around. Like maybe you didn't even realize you were owed more money and all of a sudden it's back, or it's something from like deep in your past and all of a sudden it's back. There's also an energy here where if you want to move, if you want to change location, this could be the time where that comes up, especially if this is hitting your chart really intensely. If you have your midheaven in IC in Virgo and Pisces, or if you're a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from, I would say, 7 to 15 degrees, this could be like a big life-changing moment for you where your entire life changes course and your location changes as well. There could be big developments in your home, and if you do end up moving, the financial support is there. It comes from the outside through a loan, very likely, or through, outside monetary support that we already talked about, through some sort of inheritance or payout, or through your partner. And so I love this energy for that. Any changes that you've been wanting to make in your home, the energy is supporting this. So this is the next chapter that's moving you in that direction. So big developments in career. It could be that you're being recognized for something in your career that you've done in the past, and all of a sudden you're finally getting recognition for it around March 3rd, especially. There's also an energy here where it's kind of like surrendering that in order to focus more on your roots and what you want your home life and things behind the scenes to look like. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of travel. It's the house of perspective and gaining perspective through higher wisdom, through religious or spiritual study, through your unique philosophy or worldview, and that's about to change. So your perspective on life is about to shift very dramatically as a result of this eclipse. There could definitely be new educational pursuits coming in, but it could also be the culmination of an educational program or pursuit that you've been working on or working toward for quite some time. This could also be you releasing something like a book or some sort of knowledge or some sort of course that's more substantial out into the world for public consumption, and I think people are going to really receive it well. This is definitely an energy here where travel opportunities could come up, especially in partnership with somebody else or through a partner or through a friend or through somebody that you're associated with very closely. There's like a benefit to connecting with this person because it allows you to travel, or it points you in the right direction in this fated karmic way to reintegrate some old knowledge, old wisdom back into your psyche, back into your worldview, back into your perspective. And that helps funnel energy in that really changes your mindset about things on a day-to-day basis. Lots of energy around travel and potentially vehicles. There could be some developments there, especially mid-month, where you get a message that's like maybe bad news about a car or a repair or something like that, and you're like, oh gosh, but you're able to talk it out, to negotiate, and it ends up working for the better. Like something fated is occurring with this vehicle, and it's like, this was meant to be. There could also be travel plans that are similar. There could be the need to go in and get additional education, but probably more like a smaller level certification or something like that. Definitely a really great time to connect with community. There could be old people from your past coming back around, especially in your immediate environment, neighborhood, community, but even like one-to-one connection could be coming back around because of that Jupiter retrograde as a part of this configuration. And that's going to pull you into a new direction, and that's going to allow for new connections that feel synchronistic, that feel like they're meant to be. At this time, especially mid to end of March, Capricorn, I would say that even small interactions and conversations, like with the clerk at the grocery store, could lead to really big, important, fated and synchronistic things. There could also be fated karmic occurrences that come up involving siblings, especially, or extended family members. And so there could be new developments there where something shifts in a different direction in your relationship with a sibling, but I would say it's for the positive. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this blood moon, full moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in the 8th house, which is the house of death and rebirth. It's the house of joint finances and other people's money. It's also the house of deep psychological healing. It's the house of occult study. All of these topics and themes are coming up in being illuminated in a very fated, synchronistic, karmic way where it feels extra important. It feels familiar. It feels like this was meant to be. There could be money coming in through your hard work, your efforts, but it comes in through an outside source, like maybe an investor or something along those lines. Your partner could have resources coming in, or there could be resources going out, especially with this South Node. This could be clearing up karma around debt. This is a big time for you, Aquarius, to clear up any old karma and wrap things up involving debt, joint finances, other people's money, or just the way that you deal with your money in general, where this cycle is past. I am not going to overspend. I'm not going to overextend myself. I'm not going to be in debt anymore. I'm not going to be like under somebody else's thumb because, when you When you have this situation where you owe someone money, they have power and control over you, and the 8th house is the house of power and control. This is about looking at where you're surrendering your power, and you're no longer doing that. Are you surrendering your power to financial institutions? Are you surrendering your power to fear that is based on past experiences that, yes, maybe they were traumatic, yes, they were real, but they're maybe not relevant to the current moment and they're still driving your decisions? There is a deep healing that needs to take place here. This could also be you revisiting some old occult science or study and bringing it back into the mix once again. And this is a really big opportunity for physical healing with Jupiter in your 6th house that comes from this psychological purge and this psychological clearing and healing that you're going through as well. Now, on the flip side of this, big money messages coming in this month, especially mid to end of the month. So if you're clearing out the karma around your finances, money can come in, but there's going to be a little bit of diciness around it. There's going to be some tension. Some words might be exchanged. You might get an alarming message, or you might have to deal with something or make a decision on something really quickly. But that opens things up for you. That opens up new opportunities financially. And especially when it comes to your work, there could be new financial opportunities that come through your day-to-day work activities, or a new project or a new contract, or even like hiring someone new that could end up being very profitable for you. So all of these things are relevant for Aquarius. And then finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising, this full moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo on March 3rd is happening in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. One-to-one connections are at the forefront of your consciousness, especially at the start of this month, Pisces. Oh my goodness, this could be karmic, fated new developments involving somebody in your life who's really important to you. If you are connected but not married, this could be a proposal. This could be an engagement. This could be talking about marriage. If you are, not in a relationship, somebody could come into your life that feels really familiar, really comfortable, like you already know them, because this is somebody that you already have a past life connection with. If you are in partnership, this could be fated new developments where your partnership is being highlighted in some way. There's something old that you need to bring back into the mix, or a new development that's coming in that's very fated, that's very important. This is really about aligning your relationships with your needs and your trajectory and your life path and your soul's evolution. So this is going to be kind of focusing on your relationships and doing something there in order to move the energy back to your ascendant, which is you, in order to focus on your wants, your needs, your desires, to figure out, you're going to have this intense urge to really move in a certain direction in your life and to become a certain way or a certain person. And that's going to really be coming up around this time. Later on this month, there could be a message that comes in that's really dicey. If there's conflict, it's caused by you. It's probably something you said or did in the past that's coming back around that caused a misunderstanding that you have to clear up. Once you clear that up, that clears up energy, and a lot of things can change for you, Pisces, in a really big way. This is a time where your whole life is subject to change, including your relationships, your career, even your living situation, but especially very personally to you. Take care of your health, but I do think that, overall you're supported here. But I would say, with that Mars-Mercury conjunction, not paying attention to your surroundings could lead to little bumps and bruises, nothing horrible or serious. We have Jupiter here that's helping to support you. And then also, I would say that this is about moving into a new development that connects you with your passions, that connects you with the things that you love, that connects you more deeply with your children if you have any, and expands on that relationship in a really powerful and beautiful way. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, this is a very powerful month ahead, so make sure you share it with a friend or a family member who you feel could benefit from the information I shared with you today. Comment below, let me know how your eclipse season is going, and of course, subscribe to my channel. And if you enjoyed this video, you're going to love these ones floating on up here. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.